Drum roll, please.
Oh, yeah. That means Midway Radio is back. It's your boy, Carlos Gomez, and we're here. We're going to get to take a couple seconds to get to know a young man that you guys might know as Shazam Bangles. I forgot that I'm doing that one too. One of the few people who I look up to in the beard game.
Wow, that's saying something coming from you.
Thank you. I cut a couple inches off of it not too long ago.
Yeah, when you have limited hair, you got to keep the beard like real sharp to come.
Yeah. Agreed.
Welcome
to Midway Radio.
Thank you for having me.
So let's see. We got DJ Sean Doe.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, buddy. I saw you laughing when we were going through technical difficulties. I saw you laughing, Sean. That's not cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm
and now he wants to be quiet.
Yeah. that's what I'm here for.
I opened the door for you to cut in on me, but
yeah, no, I'm good.
The door is closed.
He doesn't want to step on. He doesn't want to step on risky shoes.
No, not at all. Save that all for rescue.
Oh, let's go ahead and welcome the man that put us all together, Mr. Director himself, Ryan Brockmeyer.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I had to miss last week, unfortunately.
Yeah, all good. And just to let you guys know, last week's show got chewed up by YouTube. So our apologies go out to the one and only Ange13. We're going to have her back on the show because now she got that good internet. Now we're going to take advantage.
What do you mean by chewed
up? We did about an hour and a half show, and YouTube said that it was 6 minutes long.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so every once in a while that happens. Not really sure why. I blame it on Risky's internet because he's got that. I don't know if you guys know this, but he's still got that. He's still got them. He's got like a big stack of CompuServe disks that he still uses. And if he doesn't enter in the new password, everything gets ruined.
Speaking of CompuServe and weird outdated technology, I don't know how I stumbled across it. I came across an article on, and this has absolutely nothing to do with hip hop or anything, but I came across an article talking about the original iPhone and that whole process of when it first came out. So as you usually do with weird things like that, I went kind of down the rabbit hole, and then I ended up watching like the Steve Jobs product unveiling of the first ever iPhone. It was actually pretty funny to watch.
Yeah.
In terms of being,
remember? Go ahead.
It was funny because it was dated, or what do you mean?
Yeah, it's just looking, but like it's I was gonna say we're all, no matter if you have an iPhone or whatever smartphone you have now, obviously we're all used to what they do and how we use them and all that kind of stuff. But it was just funny at the time talking, and them talking about, oh, look at, you can merge calls and have a conference call, or you can choose which voicemail you want to look at, like just things like that. Is like, just things move so fast. It was funny.
But do you guys remember how like they didn't let anyone else build apps for the phone? There was no copy and paste. For as revolutionary as the first iPhone was, it was a hot mess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't even talk about how good the iPhone was. It talks about how bad everyone else's phone was.
That's a smart move.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So as we do every show, we try to get you guys up to date with what's been going on in the world of Midway. So we look to our fearless director.
Oh, that's nice. So, updates. You know, there hasn't been a whole lot of public updates lately, and that's just because we're actually all of us are working on various things behind the scenes, whether it's web updates or the first trailer we're actually working on. And this is, I don't know if you guys talked about it last week because I wasn't on, but I got to give a big shout out to Kevin Epperson and Intel. Like, it was, they did the premiere of their short at Century City down kind of, I guess, was that technically Wrigleyville? Right down in Clark, right across the street from the new Gramophone. Yeah, first of all, his short is amazing. And they asked us to show something from Midway. So we've had about a 5-minute sizzle reel that we've had for a little while now. We've never officially showed it to the public, but we've showed some people if we kind of happen to be in the same space or something like that. So that's actually the first time that we showed it to the public, and not just to the public, but it was in a movie theater with, you know, the movie theater screen, and I want to say for not much post-production or anything else, I think that it held up nicely. We got a very big ovation for it. So I want to thank Kevin and everybody for putting that out, and thank everybody who came and talked to us afterwards and said that they can't wait to see it, because we can't wait to see it.
That's right.
Yeah, we can't wait to see it.
So that was good. I actually had a brief conversation with Tokyo today. So been seeing Tifa a lot. There's an event there's a class that's going on. It's really cool that we're hosting at the space that I kind of work out of. So it's cool. We got some stuff lined up there. And then yesterday, was it yesterday, Sean? It was yesterday.
Yep.
We're still, and I can't stress this enough, that we are not done with interviews, but we have temporarily put them to the side. So we actually haven't been filming very much for the past few months, just because we've been trying to concentrate on other things. But last night, we finally sat down with a Midway team member for the first time, with Kevin Beecham. So
one of my
let me be the one to ask, how's Kevin doing? Because I know he's taken a hiatus from a lot of things, and there's a lot of folks out there that are trying to see where Kevin's at.
Yeah, Kevin is about to move across the pond, as they say, moving over to Europe for a while. So
I thought you were going to say Detroit.
No, no. So I don't know. I know he's kind of put some stuff out there, so I'll kind of let him talk about what he wants to talk about. But so obviously it was important, that we captured him, because not only is, everybody knows Kevin. If you know JP Chill and everybody from WHBK, it's like, obviously, it's, Kevin is kind of the counterpart of that on WNUR. No offense to 33 1/3 and Peely and everybody else that was up there, but time travel is a huge thing. So
huge for me.
Yeah, and I will say that Kevin actually commented on our link, and he says that he wished he could have been on for this one because Bangles is the real deal.
Nice.
Yeah, buddy.
But so I mean, we had probably close to a 3-hour interview with him while we're here. Could have easily went another couple of hours. So
got the encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of things.
Yeah. So it was dope, and that's kind of where we're at. Where we're at right now. We're reaching out to some individuals specifically for some things, and we're gonna have some announcements coming up. Come hopefully sooner than August, but we'll see. Definitely in August, we got some stuff coming. So yeah. Cool. That's it.
Best of luck to Kevin. Everyone knows him. And just to if you don't know who he is, the Midway team, everyone has some sort of a connection to. But when we drop Kevin's name, people know, oh, okay, these guys are legit. That's how important Kevin is to the scene.
Yes.
I don't know if I would have even started DJing if it wasn't for him. So I got to give him. Yeah.
Is that was that from you hearing him on the radio and listening, or seeing him out at spots, or how did that come to be?
Well, I was just an avid listener, and then finally got some equipment. But he was the first person to kind of show me the ropes as far as blending and programming music.
Oh, nice.
Saw the fact that I had a little bit of potential, because I was, kind of starting out pretty late in the game, like freshman year in college. So he just gave me that impetus to kind of, he's like, yeah, you got this. Just give it a little time and develop something. So.
Dope. Were you in the listening area for NUR?
Yeah, sometimes I had to do the antenna up on the wall with a little tape.
Yeah.
That made it almost even more magical when you could get it in clearly. And
yeah, at the time I couldn't get it. I was going to school out in Schaumburg at the time, so I would actually, me and a buddy of mine would actually drive down. We kind of just made it our point every other week to drive down and just hang out and just be a part of that. And that was one of the things that we had talked about, is how cool it was that ended up being just like met so many people that came through there from Chicago and not from Chicago. So it was just a really cool environment that he set up there, and yeah, clearly had a big influence on a lot of people.
So what year did you start DJing?
Probably 98.
Nice. Did you start off with like hip hop records, or?
Yep. Went straight into like the classic hip hop, like golden age stuff, and a lot of turntablism. Watching a lot of battle, like DMC tapes that was when everything was popping off with that, and it was like, wow, I have a lot to learn.
Who did you look up to through the DMC battles?
There was a lot of obvious people, but I really liked like Babu. I thought he was really musical with the way he put together his beat juggles. Even my girlfriend at the time would be like, yo, that is dope what he's doing. It doesn't sound forced. It just sounds like kind of a slower version of the beat that you were already listening to. And he could also like really put together like a scratch routine that sounded very musical. And D Styles was just the guy that had the scratch techniques that were super technical, but also had that funk, So, I mean, there was a whole bunch of them, but those are like two people that come to mind.
So there's a lot of us that hear music and we're satisfied with dancing, or we're satisfied with rapping the lyrics in the car as we're getting to work. What was it about music that made you say, I need more? I need more than that. Was it that you just couldn't dance and you needed to and you needed to DJ, or what was it that wanted you to kick it up a notch?
I think it was listening to the golden age hip hop records and finding the records that they sampled, because then that just opened up a whole new world for me. Like, whoa, the record that they sampled is actually very important in its own right. And then, you realize how they utilize the parts, when Premiere would just take that little bit, like the Mass Appeal sample. Like, what is that? I still don't really know, but just that kind of drew me into the whole spider web that led out to everything else now. So that's why I'm doing a lot of like boogie, funk, disco, soul. I just try to be well-rounded. But I think it was the way that golden age hip hop and like the early 90s into the mid 90s had such a wide range of influences that it drew from. So
I completely agree. That's one of the things, when I think we've probably had this conversation on this podcast before, but it's like, if on top of everything else, what's cool is, everybody calls like, the golden age and everything like that. But one of the dopest things was discovering those samples, because it's the same thing. And at the time there wasn't the internet to look up what something was or anything. It would be, somehow you would stumble upon it and just, and digging. And there's so many. And once I kind of got that bug of, they sampled Ramsey Lewis, or they sampled Herbie Hancock, or they sampled James Brown. Like, then it was just going to the record store and just buying all stuff from that era, stuff that's on the same label, stuff that even just the artwork looks cool because it was from 1972 and looks like it's a dope funk record. Like,
and all that stuff still holds up. It's like back then your instincts told you a lot. Like if it said funky or some kind of chicken in the title, fried.
yeah.
Let me check this out. Now I still have these records on my shelf, you know.
Yeah.
I was talking to J2 yesterday, Jamal. He's a very dope DJ.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, I've only used Shazam once in my life. And he just had one song that he really had to figure out. And I'm like, man, I'm kind of feeling blasphemous because I used it all the time. You know, I don't think people realize how hard it was to come across the names of the artists. Like even people at the record store would kind of be like, you got to find that on your own. Or you would hunt it to them and very poorly, and they'd be like, what?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just horrible customer service.
You know, you got the record snobs though.
So since we're talking about technology and, you know, we're obviously using technology for this show, have you seen, you just said the words earlier, the beat making show that's on YouTube. I'm drawing a blank. What's it called?
No. Did you say Rhythm Roulette?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about that? What's your stance on that?
I haven't watched it in quite a while, but I thought it was really interesting. The times that I did see it, like watching J Zone on it, it's kind of like the reason why my name kind of felt right to me. It's like the Shazam factor. It's like if you give me records, like 5 records that I've never heard before, and just have me go and make a mix out of it, it'll probably be the best that I'll ever do with that. You know, like the first time is just kind of like that improvisational spirit. So that's what I liked about that show. Like sometimes you get crappy records because you just dealt a bad hand, but you have to make it work, and that's hip hop.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you sketching me over there? He's like, let me get the nose right.
No. We're done with the nose. We're
the beard.
That's why we needed to be Facebook friends, because I needed some more pictures.
Do you ever enter into any of the DJ competitions? Do you ever do any DMC or anything like that?
The only one I ever did was like the Vocalo Quest for the Best. And Shred won and I won, so I'm 1 for 1, kind of. Or
Nice.
I'm a little apprehensive to join the DMC, like to compete in the DMC, even though everyone's like, you should do it. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's people don't realize it's like you're putting your soul on the line. You're not just doing something casual, because if you go out there and something happens, it can affect your rep, you know. So
yeah,
I have a lot of respect for people that, you know, like Toltec is a homie of mine. He just is like fierce every time he's out there. Everything is like perfectly on. And sometimes when I have to perform on a stage like that, I get like, it doesn't come off like purely a Bangles thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you like DJing for Vocalo?
I've watched like the evolution of it, and it's really dope. I love listening to like the Friday Night DJ series. It's cool to think of like every month I scour for new music, or music that might not be brand new, but people haven't heard before, and present it. And I listen to the other DJ. I'm like, we might be the most important station in Chicago right now overall. Like the 5 o'clock drive time mix too. I mean, I'm a little biased, but Jesse he's up at 4 a.m. every day, like getting everything set up. I give him a lot of respect. And when he tells me he likes a mix that I made, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, he was, you know, he's another one who's a DJ father to a lot of people. What is speak on this? So speak on Jesse's importance to Chicago.
I love, he's kind of like me in the way that we just have like this spirit about music where you just keep going in your own lane and you stay really like inspired. I just, you know, he must get like 1,000 mixes, but he still listens to like every single one, and he'll give it like a proper, you know, he'll give it a go and see, you know, it doesn't matter what your name is, who you are. he'll put you on the radio if he's feeling it. And I also, you know, respect the longevity and actually just like the real Chicago feedback he gives you. Like if it's not good, it's not. He'll let you know like right off the. Like, no, go back and work on that song.
Let's go back to
when you talk the stories about him like playing at Smart Bar and like Bjork comes down to the booth when she was still in the Sugar Cubes and like he started DJing at Smart Bar when it was all vinyl from 10 to 5 and taking the bus to the gig. You're like, man, okay. I don't have it so bad now. You know, laptop.
Has there ever been a time where whether it be the community wasn't feeling you or even some people that were waiting for you to quote unquote grow up? Because there's a lot of folks that don't understand DJing and even being an artist or whatever. But has there ever been a time in your career where someone was like, you really need to think about hanging this up?
I don't think I've ever had it be that distinct, but I've had my own personal things where I'm like, what is the next step for me? Or like, can I adapt to the changes in the technology? Because I'm in a crew called the Boogie Monsters, and we do like the boogie, funk, soul, disco, primarily modern funk, things like that. Mm-hmm. And that's a vinyl thing. And then when you also have a Serato and you're trying to keep up to date with everything that's new and scour for all of that music, it can be kind of overwhelming. So there was a point like where I was like, do I just choose one of these lanes and stay with it? Or am I going to just be like all encompassing and do everything and be well-rounded? It's just kind of a lot, you know? Yeah, I don't want to spread myself too thin. So I don't really I haven't had any people coming back like, you're whack, you need to stop, but more like self-doubt.
All right.
What was there a point when you're like, okay, like I'm a DJ, I'm a real DJ. Everybody starts practicing and doing some little gigs there. Was there a part? Was there one time where either somebody gave you some props or just some, you were part of an event or something like that? That was like, okay, now I'm part of this.
I think it was Kevin had me open up at the Metro for one of those like big atmosphere, like Quell kind of typical Cats, Brother Ali shows. And I think Mr. Dibbs was playing right after me. And, there's like the place is packed already and I'm up there like sweating bullets. And I thought I played like a decent little opening set. I was trying to get maybe a little too heady for some people, but, like people were really feeling the energy. And then Mr. Dibbs gave me like some props like, man, they don't even know about this. I was like, okay. And Kevin was like giving me I see you from the side. So that was a pretty big stage for me at the time. And I was like, okay, this might be something I should, stick to.
It was funny. We won't tell the whole story, Sean, but it was funny. We got to hear the story of the beginning of Kevin's and Mr. Dibbs' relationship. Which the short version is that Kevin ordered a mixtape from him and never got it. Like then it never came in the mail.
Like a 1200 thing.
Yeah. So he was in New York with some of the artists that he was managing at the time, and they had to drive down. Where did they drive down to? Atlanta? Sean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they drove down there because they're supposed to do some recording with somebody's like brother down there who was an artist, but they didn't tell them they were coming. It turned out that they weren't able to do it, so they just wasted a drive from New York to Atlanta. He said everybody was pissed, and then he goes, "Oh, Cincinnati's only like 6 hours away." So he goes, "I want to go up and get my mixtape." So he took everybody to Cincinnati to stop, and he went. I think he said he went to Dibbs' house, right? Went to Dibbs' house. He wasn't there. They said he's doing a gig. So where's the gig? They told him, and then he ended up showing up, and it's like, "I'm on my mixtape." It's like, "Who are you?" It's like, "Kevin Meacham." So that's how that got started, and obviously everybody knows them too. With Scribble Jam and with everything else that they work together on. So
that's funny.
That's funny. Boogie Monsters, man. How did that get up? How did that get started?
Well, my friend Tim Zawada moved here from Indiana. Shout out to Tim. He also has a label called Star Creature, Universal Vibrations. That's kind of like an underground sensation. But he moved here, and I was living in Wicker Park at the time, and he was DJing at this spot called Between Lounge right by the Jewel. You know, it was like kind of low key. And we met there, and he came over, and, you know, we're just talking about records. And he had this party called So Disco, so we were hanging outside of there. And we came up, you know, we're talking about the Boogie Monsters, the group, because everyone thinks it's Monsters. It's actually Monsters, like Harmon, you know. So we're like, what?
Which leads to one of the dopest logos in Chicago,
which he came up with the Misfits mouth. I was like, yeah, you should with that. But we were just kind of casually talking about doing maybe like a crew that focuses on boogie, or, you know, not just disco or house. And boogie doesn't necessarily mean it has to be like Kashif or something like that. It was just maybe a little bit of a like early 80s kind of synth-based, kind of uplifting, you know, sort of dance music that we didn't feel like was being tapped into enough. And we really were passionate about it, especially after meeting like Mike and Mark Hussein of Peabody. They were like, they had those dollar sales where we would go up there and buy like 75 records and come back and be like, wow, we just learned so much in one day. So it was just kind of a casual idea. And then he came up with the logo, and I think that's what really set it off. And we're like, yo, we should do this and start throwing parties under this guise. And people seemed to be receptive to it. And then it kind of just snowballed from there.
I don't think there's a venue that I've been to that I haven't seen a Boogie Monsters logo.
Really? Okay, that's good to hear.
And yeah.
Shout out to Constance K too. She's one of the original members, and she's going to be moving to London in just about a month.
I saw that.
Yeah, she was a huge part of the beginning of it too, just kind of spurring us on and being the woman in the group and kind of telling us when we're doing something that she's feeling and when we're doing something that she's not. You know, she's my homie. So
yeah, big staple in Pilsen.
Oh yeah, I just saw a picture like she's moving out of that spot where we broadcasted Cuts on Cuts for like 5 or 6 years. So that was kind of might have got a little dirt in my eye there.
Talk about Cuts on Cuts. How did that form?
Yeah, I met DJ Moppy, who is like an inspiration of mine too, and one of my, you know, big homies. And he was just really hungry and inspired to do something, and he liked to scratch, but he didn't like people that were just scratching over like a looper for like an hour, where it would just be like a 72 beats per minute hard beat where people would get really technical. We're like, that's cool. And we know a lot of people that are really good at that, but what about the people that want to listen to it? You know? Make it something interesting. So have a DJ come on and play cuts, meaning like musical cuts, and then we'll have tableist cuts over it. And we're like, yeah, it sounds pretty good. And it took a little while to figure out kind of how to do that, especially over house DJs, because they're like, wait, what? You're not cutting over my music. So we had to figure out how to do like layers, samples, dialogue, kind of tasteful ways to add to it. And that was like a inspiring time. I know you guys, Sean, came on with GT, and I think what was it, J-Dot, and did the Dilla tribute. I mean, I wish we had some of those shows archived, because I don't think we really knew what was happening at the time, but it was kind of like being partially a torchbearer for scratch culture in Chicago. Like, you can do something creative with this and rock a party, not just be in your bedroom, like scratching a dirt style record. You know what I mean? People are like, yeah, I mean, people are like, when are you going to be doing it again? I mean, Moppy's in Detroit now, but Eric Rice, now he goes by Artist. He and I are going to be doing a night at Harvey's next Thursday, where we do like a Cuts on Cuts type set where we're both playing at the same time. We did it last month, and people were like, they were feeling it. When my friend Phil was there, and he was like, it was the highlight of my month. You guys do like a Cliff Notes version of all the songs that I love. And I was like, wow, that's a cool way.
How important is it to be in a crew?
It seems like it's just the natural thing to do because you have like-minded people that you want to build with, and certain areas that you might lack in, they can pick you up and build you up and give you the energy to kind of maybe challenge yourself. I mean, you could do it on your own, but having a crew around you just gives you, you know, that family feel, and you learn about more music, you get more feedback from people, you get honest criticism. So I don't think it's a must, but I think it's, you know, if you have people that you vibe with, just try it out.
I was just testing something. My bad.
All good.
Anyway, I had a question, and then I completely lost it. That happened last night when we were talking with Kevin too. I don't know. I guess I'm getting old. You get past 40, and then you just start forgetting shit.
That's true. Mid-sentence.
Just completely mid-sentence. What? So I'm trying to think. Were you doing any radio gigs before Vocalo?
Kevin and Foster had me just come up and co-host at Time Travel, like near the end of its run, but it was just kind of like a one-off deal. So Vocalo was like the first official thing.
Cool.
That was another thing that kind of made it feel official. The fact that you're like playing on the radio, especially for my family, they're like, "Oh, okay, we can like tune in and listen to you." And they hear the drop from Jesse. You're like, "You're listening to Shazam Bangles." They're like, "Oh, okay." You know, you need that like you got
validation,
something for them to.
Yeah. What are the differences between what you do at Vocalo and then what you do out on a night?
It's kind of similar, but I think in Vocalo, I'm thinking in terms of people listening in their car and what would make them not want to get out of their car, and maybe go a little bit on the deeper side and try to tell a little bit more of a story within an hour. And then when you're playing out, it's a little bit more like watching the crowd and party rocking and, you know, being a little bit more present to what's happening in front of you. So, I mean, that's why the radio is great, because you get to sit down and maybe think about it in terms of what you want to express personally. And then when you're out at a gig, it's a little bit more like of a communal thing where everyone else is kind of giving you like the energy that you need.
For sure. What's your favorite spot in the city to DJ?
Oh, wow. Good question.
Put you on the spot.
Well, I was at Talia Hall last night for this artist named Laraji, which was actually mind-blowing. He's like I guess you would call it like ambient soul. It's just beautiful music. But I played a wedding there in that little opera box, and that was like one of the best. It was with Larry Miller, actually. And that was probably one of the most memorable gigs I can think of, because that place just sounds amazing, and it just looks almost like something out of a David Lynch movie.
Yeah.
And they had just a gorgeous setup in there.
Yeah, they did a really good job in there.
Yeah, it's impressive. And connected to that is Punch House, and that's probably the most cozy spot for me right now. I'm doing another Dilla tribute tomorrow night there, actually. So Sean played the last one. And just a cozy little room to play in where you feel like you can go where you want to go, and no one ever comes up to you. And people come up to you and you're like, oh God, here we go with a request, but they'll just give you like a compliment. Nice beer. Or like, I like the direction you're headed in, or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely like the feel of Punch House. Like, it didn't seem like they seemed like they were okay with all the music, and they didn't seem like they were like, you know, I DJ in Old Town. Somebody always has a request. You know what I mean? And it seems like in certain places you have to be aware of the request. At Punch House, it's like they don't care. They just want to be able to enjoy the music and enjoy themselves. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Punch House is pretty cool.
It's a fine line between that too. I think it's the way it's set up too, because it's more of like a lounge. You know, where do you play in Old Town?
There's a couple places. but Sweet Lounge is where I play.
But is it kind of like a dance floor environment?
No, actually, it's a lounge. It's definitely because it's underground. It's a long, like it's definitely a long area. You can dance, but it gets pretty
You definitely have to find a spot to that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna move to some light.
But I think it's the area, like that Old Town. I think they just have a way of just wanting what they want at the time that they want it. Whereas Punch House, it just seems like they just want to enjoy music. So you're pretty lucky there.
Right, you could tell the way that even they have like the sound. At first I wasn't crazy about it because it's not very loud or anything.
Yeah.
But sometimes you'll kind of compromise having something being like banging sound system for the vibe that it has, you know, because I'm kind of at that stage where I want to be able to do a Dylan night and play all the deep, weird stuff that I have on my computer and have people come up to me and be like, I'm glad that you didn't just play like the far side cuts or whatever, you know.
Yeah. It's cool to see. It's cool to see Talia Hall what it is, because Risky and I actually lived in the same building, pretty much like kitty corner from there at 18th and Racine for a long time, and that building was always empty. And then when they had the signs up that they were refurbishing it and what they were turning it into, and we're like, it's a really cool theater, but we didn't expect it to be what it is. So it's cool to see that not only got up to be what it is and looks and sounds like it is, but that the fact that it's that it seems to be pretty thriving with the events and with the people coming out and stuff like that. So it's just a cool spot. Definitely one of the things that I miss about not living in Pilsen anymore was the ease to head down there. Yeah.
I got the opportunity to DJ at Talia Hall, and it was just amazing. Like, working at Metro for the years that I worked at Metro, when I went into Talia Hall, I was like, man, this looks like a mini Metro with like this theater setting. Like, it was pretty awesome. So
that balcony, man.
We got those cats over there.
I actually saw Dave Chappelle there.
Really?
When he was there, what, 2 years ago, maybe something like that. Where like right as he was doing his comeback, so he's doing like little small things around. He did like a residency at Talia Hall for 4 nights or something like that. So
that's like a perfect room and perfect size for him.
Yeah.
So Bangles, tell me about the very first time you were allowed on, let's say, stage. Who had the foresight to put you in charge of the party?
Stage.
And did you pee on yourself?
And if you say yes, he's going to incorporate that into the drawing.
Yeah. I don't think there was any leakage at the time. I'm just trying to think the first ever time I was actually on stage.
Or like the first time you were in like a big party or a concert or whatever. The first time someone was like, basically, here are the keys to the party, you're in charge. And what was that like?
I remember, it was like a neighborhood block party, but it was kind of a big deal. And I was really nervous because it was like my family was there. And this was at the end of high school. And, all the critical kids at the time. And I had no idea about like the technicality of anything. So I'm playing my music and it's like bouncing off the houses on the other side of the street. I remember I started out with like, I Ain't No Joke. And I thought it was on beat, but it was like one measure off because of the way that it was like reverberating, and everyone's just looking at me like, we gave you keys and this is what you did. You like crashed into the side of a mountain. It was like jumping in the dryer. So that was not a good first experience. But it, there was like a good crowd there, like 100 people, and that's how I started. I think the nerves had something to do with it, but it was just kind of everyone goes through that like first experience where you're like, oh, okay, I do need to kind of like practice in my basement a little bit more before I can become like a professional. You can't just, like back then you couldn't just buy a controller and be like, all right, I got this.
Yeah.
Do you practice a lot at home?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been practicing a lot lately over the past like 6 months or so. There was a period where I was a little bit more dormant, but then I got like the creative idea to come up with those Chicago commercial jingles and stuff. I'm like, everyone's giving me ideas for it. And I was like, oh my God, this could become something. I can make this a mixtape. My girlfriend was even like, yo, you could be on like on WGN News with that. Because that's just like everybody's childhood, you know what I mean? Like, and then also doing the Vocalo stuff. I'm like, you know, Jesse always gets mad at me because I submit my mix at like the last second. But I'm just, like tweaking it and be like, yeah, that sounds good. Wait, I think somebody else already played that on Vocalo. And you know, you gotta at least stay sharp so that when you go out there, you're just ready. You know, even to maybe go in a direction that you weren't planning on going.
Yeah, I know it's kind of like hard because sometimes like I'm at home and I look at my tables and I'm like, oh, I'll just practice when I'm out. So I'm practicing out, and then when I see my table sometime at home, I'm just like, yeah, no, I'll just wait till I go out again. But there comes a time where I'm like, okay, cool, I can practice at home. So I know that we go through like a period where it's like no practicing at home, practicing out, but then practicing at home. So
I do the same thing too, but sometimes when I'm like practicing at a gig, it almost feels like just like I'm kind of cheapening the experience for the people.
Yeah.
Not that it's not going to be a great set, but I'll do like something that I've never tried before. And it might just be like, oh, okay, that wasn't a perfect blend right there.
Yeah.
How does a DJ practice?
It's just kind of like a spur of the moment thing for me, where I'll come home from the record store and just maybe I'll put a beat on and start trying to like mix an acapella over it, and then it'll lead into like an idea for like a blend, and I'll be like, wow, this could lead into that song, and then you kind of almost come up with like a mini set in your head. A lot of times it's me scratching for like an hour or two. Same sample, but.
Was there one blend that you were like, man, this is gonna be dope, and everybody just wasn't feeling it?
Trying to
Caught a bag of crickets.
Well, you know, I have the thing where I was doing like the Andriana Furs over Jay Dilla, and everyone really liked it. Then, when I went to Punch House to play it, everyone in the room was just like staring at me. I mean, they ended up liking it, but I got like the crickets. More than crickets, it was like almost like a gassed reaction. Like,
boo, this man. Boo.
They weren't ready for the feel of warmth and luxury.
And on the other side of that, like, tell us a story of like when you had the crowd and everyone was moving and you're like, yeah, I got this.
I think maybe at Smart Bar when I was opening up for Nightmares on Wax, I think I kind of hit like a nice tempo range where everyone in the crowd was like, wow, this guy's not just like an opening DJ. He's like setting the table perfectly because that's another art form that it took me a while to learn on, is being an opening DJ, not to play all the bangers, have a little restraint. You can play the slower, like more groovy stuff because you know, people are going to be there regardless. They want to see what you have to offer. So I remember just playing, I forget what it was, like a Camp Low a cappella over that Amory one thing. But it was like a, you know, Danny Krivit edit or something. And it just ended up working out so harmonically well that everyone in the crowd was just like, you could feel the energy kind of peaking. And I was just, even DJ E's Nightmares on Wax like hits me in the back. Like, yeah, I see you. Together a little bit.
So you didn't take any notes from DJ Clue on that? I still go to bed. I also say that. I forget if you were there or not. Were you there that night, John? At Cubby Bear?
No.
worst DJ set I think I've ever seen in my life. DJ Clue, just awful. It was awful. He was opening up. It was a promo event for somebody. I forget even who it was, but we were there with because Mike One was one of the openers, and Busta Rhymes was the headliner, and Clue was the opening DJ, and he had his shit tagged and laid out in order of everything that he wanted to do, and nobody was feeling the shit. It was
like, what was he playing?
Was it sound like his mixtape where he just shouted and then like dropped a song? Like,
I don't remember him shouting, surprisingly, but he had. I mean, it was all. You know, what time was? You know, what year is this? This is probably like 92, 3, maybe somewhere around in there, or not 92, 2002, 2003, maybe something like that. So there's a lot of like, I don't know, Noriega and some other stuff like that. But it was just like New York banger, and it's just the way that it was going together is like he was just literally picking one record out, then putting it in the back, and then starting with the new one. Like everything was in order, nobody's feeling it, and I just remember like Risky and I looking at each other like, dude, put on a Common record or something. Like you had like nobody likes what you're doing right now. Like something like recognize the crowd and where you're at, and that was awful. So I'm just saying that I concur with you that opening DJ is definitely is an art form within itself.
And also mic work can come off really kind of cheesy sometimes. You know, some people are really good at it, but I've learned over doing like weddings that I can kind of make it work and I become more comfortable at it. But I used to just kind of let the music do the talking. But then once you see, you know, some other DJs that are able to add it into, like when I saw Biz Markie at the little do-over event, he was cracking me up because he would like have a phrase that lead into, like he was like, I hope you're ready to have a good time. Like, of course. He's like awkwardly adorable. I loved it. Take it on the mic, don't let it hinder the blends of what you're playing, you know what I mean? Or at least have it drop on the one or something.
What about you, Doe? You ever have a cool blend transition or anything like that that you practice, or that you're like, man, oh, that's dope, and then everybody's kind of like, eh.
You know what? I think
it's hard to remember, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of is. I think I definitely remember the ones that I do that are, you know what? I'll tell you this. So I have this blend that I know it's fire. Like, I know it's fire. And it just didn't work in the place that I was at. You know what I mean? Like, it works everywhere else. Like, everybody else hears it and is like, holy shit, how did you come up with that blend? And I can't play it at Sweet Lounge because that's not the type of music they're into. So then when I do play it at Sweet Lounge, thinking that I can get over with it, they're just kind of like, yeah, no, play Ja Rule. Like
yeah, I was gonna say, could you play
Ja Rule? Like, that's our guy. Ja Rule's our guy, or Nelly. Like, play those two. But
that's a lot to get here.
I have a pull-out routine where I'm scratching up like the intro horns for Watergate No Enemy, and it was the same kind of thing. Like, if I have a crowd of heads or people that like are into, you know, kind of Afrobeat, or, you know, I mean, it doesn't even have to be that, but like certain audiences will see that and be like, wow, he's manipulating it and it sounds really musical. And then other people will be like, why are you even touching, you know, why are you scratching that?
Why you irritate me with those horns, bro?
Is there one place where it's kind of like one of your bucket list spots to DJ at?
Nice question.
Oh, good question. Maybe someplace like Sweater Funk in California. They've had a bunch of my friends play there too, but it's, as far as the Boogie Monsters sound, that's like kind of the epitome of what we're into, and it's like a very welcoming vibe and kind of family oriented. You know, it's like the Dame Funk kind of sound mixed in with like collector's pieces. You know, it's just like a good showcase. Also, was really happy to play Soul Summit in Chicago too. That's the same kind of thing where if they choose you to play that party, that means you're doing something right. You know? I just feel like I should travel and maybe play a few more parties outside of the Chicagoland area. That would be my bucket list.
Yeah, I bug out because what was it? I had some friends that were living in St. Louis, and I showed up and we're going out, and as we're walking by, we look over and like Jumpin' Julian Perez was randomly DJing at this spot. I'm like, oh, we gotta go in here, man, because this dude, he's from back home, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We went in there, he was killing it.
Yeah, he still goes off. Like last year at the House Music Fest, he was like DJing, scratching behind his back, and everything was still like super perfect. Like, damn, he still practices. You know what I mean?
That's coming up great. Like soon, right? The House Music Fest is coming up like next week, right?
Yeah, I think so. This summer is moving along so quickly.
It is.
Yeah.
It just has to do with my age, but this one is kind of extremely fast. Like, wow.
And just like your memory, it only gets worse.
Are you how many nights a week are you DJing?
You know, typically 2 to 3. Kind of like selectively busy. Haven't been doing as many weddings this year because although it's really great financially, sometimes it can really feel like work. And I work for Style Matters, and the company is amazing, and they kind of like hand pick the couple for the DJ that they think, or that Spencer thinks will be the right fit. So I mean, it's not like you're going out there and playing like the chicken dance or something.
Right.
When I have to like kind of go through their list of like must play songs, and it's stuff that I wouldn't normally play, you're like, I can make this creatively work, but it also doesn't really feel fulfilling. So I've kind of fallen back from that and trying to do like more like Dylan tributes. And our party that we do second Fridays at Punch House, it's called Ease Out, where it's just like deeper cuts on like the Boogie Monsters kind of tip. That stuff to me is like where I find the most excitement these days. So still a couple, 2-3 times a week is still getting it in. But
yeah, for sure.
Besides Kevin Beecham, who do you look up to? Who's your Michael Jordan?
Oh. Wow. Michael Jordan, that's a tough one. I have like some Scottie Pippins. No, I really like Jazzy Jeff. I think he would probably be one of like the undeniable top 5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the way he carries himself, the way that he stayed relevant for so long, and also the way he kind of passes things down to people without being, you know, like condescending, I guess would be the term. Really loves it. He's put in the work. He could play any room, you know, and you know, he still throws in the scratching, and people are like really into it because it's so in tune with what else is going on. That's the first guy that comes to mind. I mean,
people forget.
Yeah,
people forget he's dope as hell.
Yeah, like people are like, yo, I don't want to go see him at Hyde Park Brew Fest or whatever because it's going to be exactly what I think it's going to be. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be,
and it's not.
It's like, well, people are always trying to find a reason to be like, oh, it's not. He's not going to be doing anything like brand new. I'm like, yeah, he is. He plays new stuff. There's also the fine line of being like the old white DJ trying to play like new rap music and ending up being like Dr. Evil and like Austin Powers.
You see some dope, especially on Facebook. You see some of these older ladies, old white ladies that get up there. They roll up their sleeves and they start cutting it up and doing some things. You're like, holy, what the hell's happening right now?
It's a fine line too when like a lot of the newer music you're actually enjoying the way it sounds, but then you're like, me playing this to an audience is just not what's popping right now. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
hard because you know that it will go off in the party, and everyone will be like giving you the feedback that will kind of feed your ego, but you have to step back and be like, no, I'm Shazam Bangles. I'm not going to be playing like Extension or whatever.
Right. It's good that you can realize that too, because some people, they just say that they're a DJ and they play whatever they want to play, and sometimes you can't play just everything. Like, you can't do that, you know. So I'm glad that
I've been doing pretty good at doing like open format sets, but you have to kind of like craft it in a way that makes sense, because, you know, I played at East Room a few times and they had the crowd built in in such a way that they just want to hear banger, 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 and it has to be like a certain tempo, because, you know, they just had DJs that played preceding when I was there that are expecting a certain sound, and as soon as they don't get that, you kind of lose them. And it's really hard to like watch them file out and watch a new crowd come in. You're like, ooh. But sometimes you just have to trust yourself, because, you know, they don't want to hear the same song. You know, you don't want to be the guy that's following the opening DJ and he's already played the song that you're about to play. Like, okay, yeah. Cardi B for the 4th time because the place is open for like 6 hours. You're like, oh.
How good are you at DJ Hero?
Wow, I don't think I've ever actually played it, to believe it or not. I stopped after like 1 Guitar Hero session. I have my own version when I'm at certain gigs, I guess.
Did you guys ever see the dude on Craigslist? He said, "I'll DJ your wedding for super cheap. Here's the playlist that I'll play, and it's all the songs on DJ Hero." This dude was gonna DJ Hero someone's wedding.
Was he trolling?
Oh,
I don't know, but you have to be careful out there. Like, some folks, they're like, I hammered I got up to level 27 on DJ Hero. I'm ready for the pros.
Those kind of people are like putting salt in the game too, because it's like everyone gets everything so automatically now that then when they come up to you and you don't instantly play it or like, you know, fulfill their demand, they just like stand next to you and watch you. My new thing is just like give them a really big smile and like enthusiastic, yep, whatever they ask for, I'm just like, yep.
That's requests are the worst, especially like, so I'm all right with requests if I'm in a DJ booth and then you have to like jump up to say whatever you like. You have to work to give your request.
Yeah, you have to jump up or something.
But like where I am in some spaces, they kind of like put you in a like. I'm at ends of bars. Like, so somebody's buying a drink right by me, and then like, hey, I want to hear whatever whack song that I was listening to on my iPod earlier. I want to hear that. I'm like, yo, like you can just go.
Uber on my way here.
You can just go to your car, bro, and listen to that. I don't have that. Or like, if you really want to, like, and then they hand you their iPod, like, can you play it off this? I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that, bro. Like, I can't play it off your Spotify. Go away. So
take your seat and go sit down.
They legit want to hear what they heard in the car right before they walked into the club.
Oh my God.
It's kind of like, it's almost feel like they have like a little one up on you if they ask for something and you play it. I know they get this little satisfaction or something.
But to
I had a lady get mad at me because I wouldn't play Cardi B at 11 o'clock. Like, just mad. I was just like, no, I'm not playing that right now. Like, go away. I'm like, listen to it in your car. Go take a smoke. It's like,
my friend John had a pretty smart play. He was DJing at the Owl. His name's John Kirby. Mm-hmm. Someone comes up to him and asks for like Parliament Funkadelic, and he's playing Prince, and he just tells them, "This is Parliament Funkadelic."
I'm doing that next time.
They don't know what to do because you just kind of like tricked, messed up their whole situation.
What's the worst request you ever got?
They asked for something that I was currently playing.
So the worst request.
I'm trying to think. That's the first thing that comes to my mind because I had an interview where they asked me that and I couldn't like think of what it was. What's yours?
So I had a lady, and it wasn't the worst request. It was just what she asked for. She asked me to play. She was like, "Hey, can you play Low End Theory for me? By a Tribe Called Quest?" And I was like,
front to back.
Right. I said I can play something from, and then I played something from Low End Theory, and then she came back. She was like, "I really need you to play Low End Theory, please." And I'm just like,
I just played Scenario. What more do you want?
What? Jesus. But yeah,
did they want you to like step away and just put the CD on or something?
It was just, I think it was that thing where they want to one up you, like you don't know.
They trump the DJ.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing, especially in the neighborhoods I DJ in, and I'm like maybe the only person of color there, and it almost seems like they want to teach me about what I already know. Like, oh, you don't know. I think somebody asked me.
That gets awkward real quick, I bet.
Well, I just smile at them and I just tell them if I have it or if I don't. And normally I say I don't have it, even if I do. Like, no, it doesn't look like that. I don't have it.
If it makes you guys feel any better, there's a bunch of people that'll go to the doctor and tell the doctor what they have. I need a pill for this lazy eye, my cotton mouth, I got bleeding nipples, and I poop myself, right? So they want Ambien or whatever it is that they want. They know better than the doctor, right? So WebMD, DJ Hero, all that stuff, pull it all, just shut it down. We got some pros that are handling that.
That's right.
Tim Zawada, who I mentioned earlier, who's my homie, he has this really good way about him where he gives off this energy like, you don't even have to come up to me because I got this figured out. And sometimes at the Owl, I'll see other DJs, and I don't know if you know Esteban that plays there, Esteban LeGroux. He has created like viral photographs because that girl came up with the phone with that like that look of privilege in her face, like, you're gonna play this, and he captured her right when the phone was like in his face, and it's something like kind of unassuming, like Donna Summer. But usually they'll have like a whole iPhone notes section with like 7 songs that are like, these are the sing-alongs I want to hear. It's getting out of hand, bro.
Have either of you, since we have 2 DJs here, have either of you played a song that you did not want to play because you got paid to? Someone goes, here's $20, play this.
Yeah, I remember at Simone, some guy gave me like $100 and he had a couple songs on a napkin, but they weren't like, it was stuff that I probably would have played anyway, but I did kind of feel like a puppet a little bit. But I was like, the money is good enough. Don't anyone, take an Instagram video of this or anything.
Hey, it's this move, that one right there, where you're checking that cash. Be like, tap, tap. Okay.
Yeah,
let me pull out my marker.
Poison it is.
You're like, depending on the cash amount, I will play what you
So I think the places that I play at now, like, I don't do, like, the gigs that I like to do, I do them and I don't care. But the places that I play at for money, like
right.
for a nice amount of money, I don't mind because I'm playing stuff that I don't want to hear already. So if you're going to give me $20 to play something that I don't want to hear, I'm probably going to play it anyway. So yeah, give me your money. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's dependent on the environment for sure. Like at a wedding, you kind of take yourself out of it for some of it because it's not about you.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like something just absolutely awful.
And that's where I feel bad for you guys, because I don't know who said we're going to play the same shitty music at every wedding, but any wedding that I go to and they say, look, we're not going to play Celebrate. I'm like, okay, I think I'm in good shape now. Because Celebration and the the chicken dance, all that stuff, I'm good.
I don't think I've ever played Celebrate, which is kind of strange. For all of those songs, that one actually isn't that bad to me, probably because I don't ever play it. I haven't heard it 1,000 times.
That's the thing, like with weddings, is everybody always knows like wedding, the wedding DJs, and you play, like you said, fucking chicken dance and YMCA and all that stupid shit. But then it's like,
well, wedding DJs, don't you?
Well, no, but I'm saying, like, I don't know if this, I honestly can't say this has been going on for a long time, but definitely over the past few years, I've noticed that more people like you or Risky and other people that I know are doing weddings. Like you said, it's good money, but the cool thing is that those people are hiring you because they know they know you're going to give them a good time. They're not hiring you to be a jukebox. They're not saying, hey, I need these, all these lame ass songs be played. I'm hiring Shazam Bangles because I want to hear you do your thing. I'm hiring Risky because I want to hear him do his thing. And I think that's something that I don't know.
And when like that, it could be the best gig you've ever had because the party is already set up for you. All you have to do is just do you.
And let me tell you how rewarding it is for me, because I know, like, Sean is my brother, Risky is my brother, and I love what you guys do. So especially out here, we'll just say that there's a lot of Anglo weddings, we'll say. And so, like, if they drop some inner city music that no one really knows how to dance to, like the girls that jump up and down because, baby got back kind of shit, like, okay, fine, that's you. But when they start dropping, like, even if they drop some like R. Kelly stuff or some like stepper music, anything like that, I go and I grab my lady, we go out there stepping and shit like that. Like, DJs look at me like, oh, thank you. You know what I'm talking about. Nice. That makes me feel good.
I've stopped playing R. Kelly. He's one of the only people that I'm just like, I'm done with this guy.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Remix is a great song, but like he's the one person that, like, they use the term canceled. I think he's just done too much over too long of a period of time. Yeah. And even people that I know him, they have nothing like good to say about him. So it's like,
yeah. So is that something that you just was like, I'm just like not gonna play, like, cause it's hard. Like, I've definitely had R. Kelly in my set.
12 played an amazing album. You know what I mean? But like, I just felt like that was the one that really struck me, especially after some of like the latest allegations and all of this. I'm like, and it also goes to the really complicated issue of like separating the art from the artist, because then you have to be like Bob Marley and Marvin Gaye. And, some of those people had like a few instances of like where they acted out, but there's just been repeat behavior with them,
And when the song, I was just gonna say, and it's been a while since he's come out with anything that makes sense. And I say that my heart breaking. Like his own music, I'm sure he still writes music for other folks and stuff, but his own music, like, what was the one that I was just like, okay, I have to tap out, was this long ass song about him hanging out in the backyard with some barbecue. Like, can we? Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah. I was like, come on, R, please.
He really loved that barbecue.
I guess so.
I don't know what it is, but R. Kelly is somebody that I never, ever got into.
Yeah, that 12 play album was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
I think at the time, because that came out in what, like 93?
92, I think. Did it come out? I don't know, because I know it came out before I went to college. So
even it came out right when right when I got back from the military. So that was 92.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went because I
right in there.
like growing up in the 80s, like even I was mainly listening to hip hop, but I was also listening to some rock and some new wave and some other stuff. And then I don't know what it was, but like 91 or something hits, and it's like 91 to like 95. Like I just almost didn't want to hear anything other than like hip hop. Like anything else was just kind of whack to me. Like it took me a while to get back in to some of that. And part of it was what we were talking about earlier with the, with like digging for samples and that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a few artists like R. Kelly that just kind of came along at the wrong time. I'm like, I don't want to fucking hear that. So and it just kind of stuck.
I was never too crazy about him, but there was like a part of that like nostalgia of being in high school with some of this, like the girls that you were around. Yep, but I never was like really a huge fan.
Listen, if you played the R. Kelly card just right, it paid off.
Yeah, that was the only reason why we was listening to it. The only reason, because if I wasn't listening to that for that, I was listening to Diamond D.
Yeah, I had too much Diamond D or Black Moon or whatever listening
Public
to.
Enemy.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't see Ryan heavy on the R&B side.
Me neither.
Brockmeyer.
Can we talk about that for a second? Like, have you had a lot of hurdles? Because, hey, if you're listening to this, just listening and not seeing this, Bangles is a white dude. Just in case you catch us like on iTunes or something weird. But have you ever gotten any friction from being a white dude? Like, do people take you seriously?
Yeah, because I think I acknowledge it. Even when I was playing at the Hideout this past Saturday, my friend that I was playing with, Jesse Sandwich, who's an amazing DJ and a friend of mine, a girl came up to him and asked him, like, so how did you get into black disco? And I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Whoa,
like,
okay.
No, but like she's a fan of his DJing. She just
sure
very blunt about it. And I'm like, I'm starting to think like I have to be like accountable for who I am in this scene, because I was able to learn about all this amazing music because of all these Southside cats that were willing to share it with me. And I think they see that I'm not doing it in some kind of like I want to get shine kind of a way. It's just I really love this kind of music. Mm-hmm. And if you come off with that, like I want to get fame by playing all the turn up songs in a row, and you're some white dude that is playing explicit stuff that, you know, you might not say out loud when you're talking to your friends. That can come off as a little bit like, yo, you're
Can you give us an example?
I don't know.
Just kidding.
I don't want to.
Don't let my joke get you beat up.
No, I just felt like I kind of like watched and observed before I started DJing out, so I figured out like how to go the respectful way about it, so people wouldn't be like, "Yo, what's this white boy think he's doing?" kind of thing.
Right.
I remember I got kicked out of so there's a lot of stuff that I would DJ during high school and stuff like that. And if you know, doing some parties, and I remember like there's again, it was kind of one of those, it's like they you know, people definitely expected me to play certain things, and I'm playing Mad Skill's Nod Factor, and they're like what? What?
Yeah. They're like, where's the Def Leppard?
Right.
It was interesting when I was playing at Navy Pier a couple of weeks ago too, because they've started to do like some DJ series, which is kind of interesting, like right by the Ferris wheel. I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually happening. But there's, you know, a bunch of tourists walking by, and then someone asked me to play Finito, and I had this moment of like, what you really want me, like this pale white dude with a beard, to just drop that in front of like all these families walking by? That would have been a time like where someone captured me. I would have been like, capture me on video. I would just been, wow, I really like sold myself out right there. It ended up being a great party though, because I played the Percolator, and there was this whole family from the West Side, and they were doing their little dance. I got a video of it. I'm like, I'll do that kind of Chicago stuff, but
yeah,
I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a box.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to tell people no. Like, no, like I'm not doing that.
Very charming about it. You don't have to be like confrontational.
For sure.
But there's a science to it, you know, that I've learned over the years.
Oh.
So, is it that time?
I think it's that time.
Cool. This or that. Bangles knows about this or that because he's been watching. So,
I'm surprised YouTube hasn't flagged us for copyright for playing 3 seconds of that.
and that's when they did.
This video will be like 4 minutes long. Watch.
We were fine up until just now.
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry.
So what do you got for me?
Sean?
I would go 12 or 45.
12-inch, just because the length and the amount of time I've had practicing and the ease of use. 45 is also like, if you're speaking of people coming up to the booth or something, or if someone's distracting you, the record will end before you even know about it. I mean, it's a very fun kind of a novelty way to play. Like, oh, you got that on 45, because we're doing that night on Saturday at Virgin Hotel where it's all 45s and it's really fun. But 12 inches is where I can really like stretch out and show like my craftsmanship, have duplicate copies of records and do some really interesting programming things. 45s is more of like a fun thing to do as like a side, and as an aside to playing, you know, regular records, the big records.
Excuse me, the Meters or the Ohio Players?
Wow. Okay, I would have to say Ohio Players. Just instinctually, that's what I say. The Meters have like that southern like drawl to their music, but the Ohio Players just influenced me so much. Like every album has so much like depth to it too, with like some of the samples, but then also they have like those slow kind of muddy cuts, and then they'll have like a dance song on the same album. The Meters was more like kind of in the same, for the most part, in the same like BPM range. I think the Ohio Players were more dynamic, and that whole Ohio scene was very influential on the Boogie Monsters. So that's a great question. Like, I mean, you might ask me that tomorrow, and I'll say like the Neville Brothers.
So I've been watching a little something on YouTube, and I happened to notice that there was a little battle between a couple legendary DJs, and I wanted to see what your thoughts were. Kid Capri or Funkmaster Flex?
Kid Capri. All day, all day.
That's a good pick, because I do believe he whipped Funkmaster Flex's ass.
Did you guys see that hour in his basement that he did?
You know what? I missed that, and I just heard about it. You saw it?
Yeah. I mean, it was
Kid Capri, right?
It was good. It's on YouTube, so you can definitely.
Is this Kid Capri?
Yeah, Kid Capri. Yeah. He did. I mean, he put out definitely some really good breaks. Like, there are times where it was kind of like, but you know what he was playing was excellent. So yeah.
Well, I see it like this. Kid Capri has been great for so long, but like if Funk Flex tried to play a set right now where he would be like showing off, I think he hasn't been the same for like a long time. Kid Capri is more sharp. Funk Flex is just more of like a personality. I don't think I've ever seen him really like cut up any breaks in years. All he does is just like watch the other DJs on his show. I mean, have you guys seen him do like any routines where he's actually like showing any skill lately? I mean,
I can't recall at all.
Obviously, but I mean, he just seems kind of like he's like faking it, or like being more of like a show DJ than go and
Master Flex.
Yeah, Kid Capri could like surprise you still. Like you could go into his bag of tricks and pull out something and you'd be like, wow, okay. He'll remind you of why you loved 52 beats or whatever.
Dope.
Cool. Wax or MP3?
Wax. I love trying to like blend the two together. But as Sean knows, sometimes when you're playing at a gig, you like bring your records and you have your laptop set up, and there's always some kind of attenuation. Like the records sound great in some rooms, and then the Serato comes on and it's super bright and a lot louder, and people think you're not EQing it right, but it's just not the, you know, it's a different format. But I will always love records just because of how many I have. I think I have to say that because my floors are not even. It just feels, I'll notice this, like if I have my laptop, sometimes I'll play things just because they're in the same BPM range. I mean, I've kind of outgrown this, but you'll have your Serato and your lists of songs. You'll lose some of that, like, oh, I know what will go great with this. You'll pick something that is in front of you on the screen because you know it's probably an easy blend.
Yeah.
Records will give you that, like, energy where you're like, oh, I know this Common song will go perfectly with this. It's like it just, you can feel it and hear it in your head, and when you're staring at a screen, you lose some of that like spontaneity, I think.
Dope.
I remember talking to Risky one day, and I said, "Hey, do you do MP3s or records?" He goes, he has a passion for records, but he plays MP3s when he's DJing and stuff. He goes, and people will get mad at me because they're like, "Hey, you're not keeping it real." He goes, "Yeah, records are real heavy."
That's like a Derek Carter kind of a thing too. He always talking about like they've done it for so long, they don't have any more dues to pay. You know, it's just maybe people that come out of the gate with a controller and act like they're, you know, DJ Spinner or something. Like,
yeah.
But you know, it all depends on the gig too. Like certain places you bring records out and they just don't sound good in the room. The turntables are not even well maintained, so you might as well stick to what the computer allows you to be able to do. You know, I can't scratch Moo and Oink on vinyl, at least not yet. Gotta get that dub plate press, yo. Someone was making a joke like at a 7-inch of like your little rattle rattle thunderclap, boom boom boom. That one actually made me excited because I'm like, this sounds kind of good.
That would be so good.
I'll put it over Grinding by Clips because it has that like
perfect.
That junkyard, like you hear like a background, like a muffler's getting hit or something. Don't worry about the Codex, man.
You got to get some. You got to get some Engelman in there. Oh, I've got something for you, and then you just drop the beat.
I'm one step ahead of you. I already did it.
Yeah, and that's why they call you a DJ, and they have me drawing silly pictures.
Well, that's the one time I will take requests. Like someone comes up to me, like, "Can you do 5882-300?" I'm like, "Yes, I can." Let me get you a 773 Luna right here next.
Awesome, dude. This has been a lot of fun, man. Thanks for hopping on and enduring some of our silliness for a little while.
Well, yeah, I'm right there with you on the silliness, and I appreciate you guys reaching out. Much success with the project. I kind of want to see that little 5-minute thing now that you brought it up, because I know
I'll send you the link.
Thinking about how many people you've interviewed, it's got to be action packed. So.
Yeah.
How many people have we interviewed now, Ryan?
Kevin was I haven't tallied it in a little while. Kevin was right around 240.
Wow.
240 interviews if you count the individuals, like obviously because we've done a lot of groups and duos and stuff like that. Then we're into just with the amount of individuals that we've talked to, we're in like the 350s or something like that.
Got it.
Shazam!
Shazam!
Perfect. I'm like, oh, there he is.
Yeah, I'll finish this up, but yeah.
You got me like looking like I've tossed back a couple there, huh?
Oh, yeah. That's a good life right there.
That's when I get bangled right there. I look like I'm bangled. The Cubs is a nice touch too. Yeah, there we go.
Got to.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Shazam, where can people catch you out spinning live? Where can they stay in touch with you on social media? All that kind of stuff.
Tomorrow night I'm at Punch House doing a Dilla tribute. That starts at 9 p.m. Then Saturday is the next big thing that I'm doing. It's at Virgin Hotel. It's called the 7-7 party because it's 7 DJs playing for 7 hours, playing 7 inches on July 7th. So that's the Virgin rooftop. We've been doing it, I think, for like 4 or 5 years now. Also, Logan Hardware, the record store shut down, but they're opening back up as Electric Jungle. So they're going to be doing a pop-up at like next to where the DJ is set up. So that's another incentive to do that. You know, I'm always on Twitter as Tweeter Francis Geraci. _Bangles, and that's kind of like that's the same on Instagram too. I'm either talking about record nerd stuff or making like silly puns, but usually it's somewhat entertaining.
Nice. Very nice.
Awesome. Doe, where can people find you at?
At DJ Sean Doe on Instagram and Twitter, and under my name, Rasan Sean Doe Hawkins on Facebook. Me and Risky have MTV Gen Saturday. So if you want to come hear us spin 80s and 90s videos, we are at the Emporium in Wicker Park from 9 to 3 a.m.
Props for doing videos too, man. When people get it right, it's just like it adds a whole nother element to it.
You know what, man? Like I really feel like it's such a fun thing to do. And people don't dance anymore like how we used to 20 years ago. So visually it gives them something to stimulate them, and it almost pushes them to dance. So, you know, I truly appreciate it, and I appreciate all the dumb shit I can do with, you know, video, with the video element. So yeah.
They had that huge screen too, man. I mean, it's just perfect for it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Los.
Well, hello. Go ahead and harass me online at coconutjustice.com and Coconut Justice everywhere else. I have constant creative goodness coming out. If you guys have not caught Carlos's cartoon karaoke, you are missing out.
Yes,
my latest one, me and one of my best friends, Slick Rick, went for a ride.
Cartoon karaoke.
I learned how to beatbox. So yeah, do that.
Yes,
it's worth it.
And you can always catch Carlos on his podcast Thursday nights called Sketch Zone.
That's right. We talked to we've talked to the entire crew, Midway crew on there. We've talked to the guys behind Brother Man Comics. We talked to a bunch of illustrators, special effects people, movie directors. We had the one and only Doug Infinite on.
Yeah.
So yeah, handled that. Sketch.zone.
Yes, yes. And you can find me Instagram and Twitter, 278media, the numbers 278 and media. And of course, with Midway, you can check us out everywhere, Midway Doc. I think we are now officially across the board. We had to finally were able to get a couple of names secured on some spaces. So I believe we are Midway Doc across the board, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, our website and everything else. So yeah, shout out to Shure for supplying us with some microphones for our interviews and for our podcast. Thank you for that. Next week, our guest will be somebody whose birthday it is today. So send a shout out, happy birthday to Mr. Mike Specs.
Hello.
So he'll be with us next week. I believe that it is also Psalm 1's birthday today. So who doesn't love Psalm? Happy birthday, Psalm.
And one last thing about my residencies. I have my Vocalo thing is the first Friday of every month. I submit a mix, and that's the Friday night DJ series. So it kicks off
buddy.
The 5 p.m. drive mix, and it goes till 1 a.m. So it's pretty good radio, if I do say so myself. Sometimes I can't even get out of the car if it's like a Pump and Pete mix or something.
It is good. Yes, definitely check that out. It's you can listen to it. Is it vocalo.com? Is that
Vocalo.org.
Org. Can always get that confused.
Been pretty solid lately too. So
dope. Guys, it's been a fun one, and yeah, we're getting back into it on a more regular basis. We got some cool guests lined up. Like I said, Mike Specs next week, and Shazam. Once again, thank you for taking the time to sit with us.
Thank you, bro.
My pleasure, man.
Cool. All right, everybody. Till next week. Peace.